Hi all, Adi here from Huntston Johns. As always, thank you so much for clicking on the video. I'm in deepest, darkest Sussex. I'm at Boxgrove Priory and we're going to go in and have a look. And there's a really interesting grave here and a really interesting window with links to World War II. It's got an absolutely fascinating history, this place, and it looks very understated on the outside, but wait until you see what's inside. We're in for quite a treat. Anyway, let's go. At first glance, it might look like a large, ordinary parish church, but this building has a history stretching back almost 1,000 years. A church stood here before the Norman conquest, and the settlement was recorded in the Domesday Book in 1086. In the early 12th century, though, Benedictine monks from the Abbey of Lessay in Normandy established a priory here, and that created what would become one of the most important religious sites in Sussex. And this labyrinth, which is just inside, is a modern addition, and labyrinths have long been associated with Christian reflection and pilgrimage. As soon as I entered the church, though, I really felt that there was a wonderful atmosphere, a lovely sense of peace and calm here, and it's probably something that has remained unchanged for centuries. And I was drawn to this little side chapel on the south side of the church, filled with beautiful coloured stained glass window, and the sunlight pouring through these windows really transforms that plain stone interior, and it creates a wonderful contrast between colour and ancient masonry. One particular fascinating aspect of this beautiful church is that it effectively functioned as a double church, because the western part of the building was used by local parishioners while the eastern section was reserved for the monks and their daily worship. And understanding this helps explain why the church feels so substantial and why different areas have such distinct characters. And walking through what would have been the monastic area, I came across a striking memorial to Philip Nelson Ward. Now, he was the great-grandson of Britain's most famous naval hero, Admiral Lord Horatio Nelson, and even today Nelson remains one of the most celebrated figures in British history, and he's remembered for his victory and death at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. So finding a memorial connected to the family here in Boxgrove was really unexpected, and it serves as a reminder of how many strands of British histories intersect within small churches like this. And the memorial itself, it's really beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely stunning workmanship. I'm now going to walk up towards a very special stained glass window. Now, this window commemorates Pilot Officer William Fiske, and this story is really extraordinary. Although remembered here in Sussex, William Fiske was actually American. He was born in Chicago, and he'd become famous long before the Second World War because he won gold medals as part of an American Olympic bobsleigh team, and he had established himself as an internationally known sportsman. But when war broke out in Europe, Fiske chose a very different path. At the time, the United States remained neutral, but Fiske was living in Britain and he felt compelled to help. He volunteered for the Royal Air Force and became one of a small number of Americans who joined the fight long before the United States officially entered the war. It was the summer of 1940 and Britain stood alone against Nazi Germany. Now, the Battle of Britain was underway and RAF Fighter Command faced the enormous task of defending the country from sustained aerial attack. On the 16th of August 1940, while flying with 601 Squadron, Fiske's aircraft was hit during combat over southern England. Although he managed to bring his damaged aircraft back to base, he suffered severe burns and injuries, and 2 days later, on the 18th of August, he died from those wounds. He was just 29 years old. I just headed out to the graveyard to pay my respects. Now, there is some footage of the actual funeral, but unfortunately, due to copyright, I couldn't include it in the video, but I've dropped the link down below if you would like to watch it. It's very, very moving. As I was paused here reading that information board, this caught my eye in the background. So there's an American flag here and a North Carolina flag, I believe, and it's in front of this plaque. It just says 1936 to 2015. I have no idea what the relevance of this is, or the relevance of the flags are. If you do know, please do let me know in the comments. And nearby there was some more soldiers' graves. Rest in peace, Sapper Patterson. And then just to the other side there was another one. Corporal Roberts, aged just 21. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Somebody's left a poppy there, which is lovely. And Private Tunks. And I do believe he's mentioned on the memorial inside the church, aged just 26. As I headed back inside, I bumped into the vicar from the church. He was really lovely. We had a good chat. And I gave him our card, so I do hope he gets to watch this video. And I'm sure you've already seen it, but your eyes may have already been drawn upwards to the painted ceiling. It's from the 16th century, and Thomas West, who was at the time the 9th Lord of Delaware, commissioned the artist Lambert Barnard to decorate the ceiling in the 16th century. And at the time he was one of the most important painters working in Tudor England, and this ceiling is considered a rare and very important example of Renaissance artwork. It has shields, family emblems, flowers and beautiful decorative motifs. And then just to the right here is the beautiful Warr Chantry Chapel. I can always get my tongue tied when I say that. So this chapel was built during the early 1500s, and again by Thomas West, and many architectural historians regard this chapel as one of the finest Renaissance funerary chapels in all of England. I mean, the carvings on here are so exceptionally detailed, displaying an extraordinary level of craftsmanship. Isn't it beautiful? Look at the detail. So this chapel survived the turbulent years of the Reformation, and it remains one of the true treasures of Boxgrove Priory. And over on the wall here, there looks to be some graffiti. Shame on those people. Moving towards the high altar, the church really opens up into a truly magnificent space, and behind the altar stands a beautifully carved stone reredos, and it really creates a dramatic focal point at the eastern end of the church under that beautiful stained glass window. The effect is really stunning. Now, this area would have once formed the spiritual heart of the priory, where generations of Benedictine monks gathered for worship. But of course, the history of Boxgrove changed dramatically during the reign of Henry VIII. During the dissolution of the monasteries in the 1530s, most religious houses across England were closed and many of them were completely demolished. Now, although Boxgrove Priory was dissolved, but unlike many monastic churches, part of this building still survived, and this would have been the eastern section that continued to be used as the parish church, which is what saved it. And that decision preserved this remarkable building and allows us to enjoy it today, nearly 5 centuries later. Absolutely stunning. There's so much history related to this church, and honestly it would turn into about a 3-hour documentary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in the description down below a link to the church website, and you can read in more detail the history of this truly remarkable church. And along the North Aisle there's many memorials and monuments to explore, although I wasn't expecting to find this, and this is a figure that resembles the Long Man of Wilmington, which isn't actually that far away, but I will be visiting there again hopefully later this summer. And this one is for the Goring family, and there's another one to the Henty family, and they're both names with long-standing associations in Sussex history. And these monuments remind us that churches were often at the centre of local life, preserving the memory of generations long after they have passed. And just around the corner here I came upon a very impressive monument dedicated to Mary, who was the Countess Dowager of Derby. She was the daughter and heiress of William Morley of nearby Halnaker. And following the death of her husband, who would have been the Earl of Derby, she returned here to the local area, and she became a very significant figure in Sussex society. I mean, the monument itself is really magnificent, and it reflects the importance and status of the families associated with Boxgrove throughout its history. I love reading these. Do pause if you'd like to read it in more detail. Nearby is a beautiful display of poppies. Now, these are poppies of remembrance, and they form the poppies of the Priory display, creating a really striking tribute to those who served and sacrificed. And after seeing William Fiske's memorial, visiting those war graves outside and exploring nearly 1,000 years of history within these walls, it really does feel like a fitting place to pause. Boxgrove Priory Church is more than just a historic building. It's a former monastery, a parish church, and a memorial to those who served their country, a true living record of English history, from the Norman monks arriving from France through to the Tudor period, and those commissioning that magnificent artwork on the ceiling, and to the memory of the Battle of Britain Pilot, and the local families whose stories are preserved in stone. Every corner of this church has something to tell us. I'm going to wrap the video up here. I really do hope you enjoyed it. Fascinating place. And if you did enjoy it, if you could please hit the like, subscribe and the hype button down below. It doesn't cost anything, but it really helps the channel out. And any other links relating to the Priory, or if you want to support the channel, buy me a coffee, I'll pop that all down in the description below. But that's all for now. Thanks again, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye.